What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of College Football 26 Chalk Talk. This is the series where I walk you through a particular football scheme or concept, and then we try and replicate it as best as possible in our favorite football video games. As always, everything to do with coverage is based off of Cameron Saran's fantastic book, The Past Coverage Glossary. Definitely go ahead and check it out on Amazon if you are interested in learning more and where I get all of my generalized resources for teaching these coverages. Today, we are diving into our next set of coverages, which are single high coverages, and we're going to be starting that out by looking at cover 3 match. Now, this is a coverage that a lot of people have asked me to cover, and I said that I definitely would once we got finished with all of the quarters-based stuff, which we finished up about a week and a half ago. And now we're moving on to cover 3. So I'm just going to get this out of the way first. I was pretty disappointed by how cover 3 plays in CFB 26. It did not receive the amount of love and attention that quarters did in terms of the checks and automatic calls that the game makes for you to try and help you out a little bit against the offensive alignment. But we will get to that as we go, and we're going to begin here by just talking about the roles and responsibilities of each player here in cover 3. So we're just going to zoom out here to get a good look at the play art, and we're going to start as we do with our corners here on the outside. So we're going to have problems here already with how the game plays things and with how it's supposed to be played. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to tell you how it's supposed to be played, and then I'm going to show you a couple examples as to the problems that we have in game. So the corners here on both sides are supposed to be mod. Alright, so they are man, outside, and deep, or as many of you so lovingly corrected me, or told me, those of you who speak Sabanese, it's man on demand. I'm going to stick with man outside and deep because I think it's a bit more descriptive of what their actual assignment is, but I do know it's man outside and deep for you Sabanites there. So our corners are responsible for everything that the receiver runs that is vertical and outside breaking. So essentially, they're man-to-man on number 1 unless he runs an underneath route, in which case he would make an under call, which would pass the route off to the apex and then into the hook defenders, which we will get to eventually. And the other exception would be if he ran a hitch, and we would therefore get our smash call, which we went over both of these calls in all of the quarters videos. So if we're getting something like this or like this, we're covered here, and it puts us in a better position leverage-wise. As we go ahead and get into it, the game does not register all of those calls the same way. So you see here, we're taking a look, we're showing that he is mod. He is taking the receiver deep. We have him on a fly. He covered him, no problem. Next, we put him on a post, and he's going to cover this, no problem. He's going to stay vertical, turn inside with him, and push him in towards a deep safety. We put him on a little inside burst corner, and then we're going to go ahead and see he's going to stick with it, play leverage really well. I did go ahead and take some advice here from those of you who said to use some teams that have a little bit more talent than Rice. I use Rice because they're my dynasty team, and they're just a team that I automatically choose when I go into practice mode. So I went ahead, I chose Penn State and Ohio State to get some more speed on the field and get some better players on the field to try and show you what it looks like when you have maybe some better athletes and just better cover players in general on the field. But we're going to get right into this here with talking about the exceptions. First one here, we're going to send one underneath on a shallow, and he's going to go ahead the corner and make his undercall, and he's going to zone out to his third out here. Now ideally, when you see the entire play moving away from you, you would like to, as a smart defensive back, to start cheating your way over here, looking to help, communicating with the safety that he can bump over because you're his help now on that left hash. So ideally, you'd like for him to do that, but that's, I imagine, pretty high programming here, and so I'm not surprised that's not in the game. But the undercall worked exactly how we wanted it to. Now, we go ahead and set up our slot fade to test the smash call, and you're going to see this doesn't work. There is no smash call against cover 3 in the game right now. So you see the corner, he just dove straight down on number 1, and the apex is now responsible for covering number 2 on that slot fade. Now, why is this a problem? Well, it puts both players in a bad leverage position, right? If the corner, who is 7 to 10 yards off the ball, has to drive down on a hitch, that leaves a pocket of time where you can get a quick throw in there to number 1 on the hitch. And then you would prefer, with a vertical route here from number 2, that the corner, who's already off the ball starting here, he can just smoothly backpedal and calmly collect number 2 as he's running his fade. But instead, the apex has to open his hips, turn and run, and put his back to the ball, in which case you have a chance for a completion. So we're already not off to a great start here when it comes to the cornerback assignments. But overall, he is still mod. Just think of it as he's mod without a smash call. As we move on to the apex, in real life, in terms of how we would actually teach this, the apex is man-to-man on number 2, unless 2 runs shallow, in which you make your undercall, and you pass him off to the backers inside, to your hook defenders. If he got a smash call from the corner, then the apex will move out to cover the hitch route. But we know that this does not exist, so we don't have to worry about that exception. And then, if we flip over to the other side, to this apex, if 3 is out fast to the flat, then we would get a push call from the hook, because it's a better angle for him to attack down instead of for the hook defender to try and chase from a bad angle. Now, one piece of coaching advice that we give is, if he's out fast to the flat, don't attack it straight down, because what you're doing now is opening up a hole for a curl route, and you're exposing that curl route and putting your corner in a bad spot. So instead, what you want to do is attack it with top-down leverage and meet him in the flat, because then you're getting in the way of the curl route as you're working your way down to collect the running back. Now, we already know that we do not have our smash call, so we're not going to see that again, but I go ahead and show, first of all, that he is man-to-man. We send 2 deep, the apex runs with him. We're going to send him on his post, or first we're going to send him on the corner. He's going to turn and run with him. Nice little throw there on a good throw by the quarterback to make a completion. Then we put him on the post, and he's going to funnel him right into the safety. Get a little bit of help from the linebacker here. That's all fine and good. Now, as we get in here, we're going to send him underneath. And we do pass it off. We make our undercall, and then once he's made his call, he is going to make his way over to play that curl to flat area. So whatever is in this generalized area, he will defend it. In this case, it's only one route. It's the curl by number 1 backside, and he's going to take that and get in the throwing window. And we throw an interception just to prove a point. Now, when it comes to him going underneath and playing with the hook, this is where things get a little bit messy. So the hook is supposed to make his push call if 3 is out fast to the flat. He doesn't do that. There isn't a great opportunity for a push call here, and they don't do that in the game. They don't make a push call. They do sometimes. We're going to see it a little bit later. If you're able to get a perfect route combination, they will sometimes make that push call, but it doesn't seem to be as fast or as organic as it is when you run quarters. If the hook defender gets an undercall on someone coming underneath, whether that is number 2 or number 1, the hook defenders are going to collect the shallow crossers and then run with them man-to-man. And if there is no shallow cross and 3 is not out fast to the flat, they're going to drop into the intermediate hook area, just like we talked about with quarters. They're going to play this dig route area, just like Zach Bond did in the Super Bowl to get his interception on Patrick Mahomes. But if he releases late, so if he's doing a check and release, where he's first involved in the pass protection and then leaves out the backfield, then whichever side he releases to, that linebacker will take him. So if he releases this way, it's this guy. If he releases this way, it's this guy. So we'll go ahead here and take a look at some of the route concepts that I have set up for showing the hook defender. And we're going to take a look at how the entire coverage plays, going against a very basic spot concept. This is going to be spot on the right side, and then we have dragon or double slant on the left side. And we actually have a nice little helpful diagram from the pass coverage glossary to show how 3-match would handle this play. I had to dig through and try and find a formation with a play as close and as similar as this as I could find, because I think this is a great resource to visualize, especially when the game does things wrong, how we should expect it to play, because then we can get an understanding of where the problems are in the game. First, the corner, he's going to recognize that number 1 is underneath, and he's going to continue to zone out. So this would technically be a smash call, even though it's not a straight 3-yard hitch. It is still an underneath route, and he doesn't need to worry about it. He's going to zone out to his third, and he's going to look to collect the corner route that's coming, which he has here from the tight end. So the corner will end up collecting the corner route. The apex is going to push out to cover the hitch from the smash call, when he will then receive a push call on the running back going out fast to the flat. So it'll be a smash call and a push call on the strong side, ending with the apex responsible for the running back and the hook defender responsible for the little hook spot route that number 1 is going to run. So it'll all play out very, very nicely. And then on the back side, this is going to almost play out just like it would be cover 1. So we're going to be man-to-man back here, and then man-to-man back here. This hook defender here, he doesn't have a true responsibility, so he's going to fall right into the window where the slant route's going to be running, and the inside slant route, which is really where you want to target against when you're running a dragon concept, is going to be covered, and then we're going to be fine on the backside here with our corner on the slant route. As far as the deep safety, he's reading his keys, which are the number 2s. He's looking to see who is going vertical. If no one is going vertical, he's going to find the most dangerous route, which in this case would probably be the corner route, and he'll start cheating his way over here to play that corner route. It'll be the most vertical, dangerous route that there is to play. So we're going to go ahead and take a look now at how the game is going to try and play this route. So let's take a look here as we go a little bit further in. So we're into the play now, definitely into the play now. And there's a lot going on here. There's quite a few problems. So let's start with the good. We are man-to-man here, which is this. This is this second slant route right here. So that's good. We have that. We are technically man-to-man here, but there was some bumping action, which we've referred to a lot is a big problem in these football games when it comes to trying to run any kind of coverage, is defenders and offensive players running into each other. We get a bump here, and then we all of a sudden have lost all of our leverage. And also, the hook defender, who I believe is this guy, has done a very poor job of maintaining his leverage. In reality, you can see in the diagram, he's able to just settle right into the window to play the slant route. But in this case, he lets the slant route get inside leverage of him, and now he's stuck chasing it. And it's wide open. We can make that throw every day. Maybe not right now because he's past the center, and it's not a good chance to throw a slant route once he gets past the center. But that's a wide open throw. On the strong side, we have more issues here. Say, the corner, good job. He didn't take the cheese on the spot route. He's dropping back. He has his eyes, I would assume, on the corner route here. So he's prepared to collect that. And then our hook defender and our apex defender are kind of just covering the same person. We've created a bit of a triangle surrounding the corner route, which is great. We're covering the most vertical route, but the running back's wide open and the spot route is wide open. We did not get our push call, which I kept on repeating that we are not going to get a push call here. We run cover 3 match, and the back is wide open. If we throw this up the field a little bit, so Singleton's catching this like around the 30, and he can keep going with forward momentum, there's no reason he can't get to the 20 before being pushed out of bounds. So that's an opportunity for a big play for the offense. And if we keep on going, you're going to see our hook defender, he's now behind Y here. He keeps on dropping. He's got 5 yards between him and the spot route now. So it's just even more open, and there's nothing here. And you see, we're still not reacting to the running back, who's now turned all the way up the field. He's starting to run a wheel route, and we're still not reacting to it. So we got massive problems here because the lack of a push call has made it almost impossible for us to cover this concept. And this is a problem that I realized with cover 3 match as I was going through it, is there are just so many problems with defending the underneath passing game because these calls and checks are not in the game. This is a problem with quarters many years ago before they started putting these checks into the game, and now it can actually play against the quick passing game. But 3 match hasn't received that love and attention. And you see here, I mean, this is a hook defender who's just running backwards to where there's no one, and the deep safety is not recognizing any threat. Ideally, you'd like for him to start cheating over, but he's just backpedaling. So this is something that's a real problem for us, because I would say if there's one player who's not doing his job, I'd say there's your user, right? You learn the assignment for him and you start doing his job better than the computer can. But when you have multiple players like this who are out of position or not doing their job, and you can't fix all of these problems, then this is when you really start to be concerned about not being able to run the coverage in game. So this is where concern has reached kind of an all-time high for me at this point. And I did try, because I understood that having all these routes flooding one side of the field can hurt coverages in the game because the programming kind of freaks out. So what I decided to do is I wanted to try and isolate the spot concept and see if we can get any better of a result. So we just run a little Ohio concept over here with an out and an up by 1 and 2. So this side of the field is not important, right? Ignore this. We're looking at the spot concept on the right side. And we do get a little bit better of a result. You see, we actually somewhat are reacting to the back out the flat initially, and we actually do get the apex somewhat driving down on this. But we have a problem with the hook defender. He thinks that he's responsible for the corner. and it leaves the apex in a really tough position to where he has to try and cover both the spot route and the back. And this is a great line that I always got from one of my college coaches referring to pass protection, saying that if you're trying to block two guys, you're blocking nobody. If you're trying to cover two guys, you're covering nobody. So this is a situation where they're both open and we can't cover both. And it doesn't happen until the corner route is 20 yards down the field that Buddy Boy hook defender finally realizes that, oh, I don't need to cover him now. And now he's going to start running back towards the spot route. But in reality, this is a quick passing concept. This is 3 steps and the ball's out. So this is going to be completion every day of the week. So we do get a bit better of a result when we isolate the concept and we don't just flood one half of the field with 5 routes. We get somewhat of a push call, but it still just isn't really enough to cover a very simple concept that if again we had the diagram, this coverage should be able to handle it no problem. And that's when I realized, okay, I think we got a problem here. And to continue with that, let's talk about everyone's favorite play to run, which is mesh. So let's talk through how we would expect this to be handled. Let's start with the easy stuff. So the post route, by number 1, this is going to be taken man-to-man by the corner, so we don't have to worry about that. He's going to take him man-to-man, funnel him right inside to the safety, and that's going to be taken care of, right? Middle of the field's closed. We've closed the post. The big play threat is gone. He's going to be man-to-man on the dig route, right? Because this is going 10 yards, so this is vertical, right? We would declare this as vertical, as a defense, so it's going to be taken man-to-man. So all we need to worry about is there's 4 defenders responsible for these 2 routes. So this should be handled no problem. The apex probably wouldn't even make a push call here on the strong side because number 2 is already inside of him, so it would be up to the hook to make the push call to pass this off to this hook. And number 2 here, as he runs under, the apex makes his push call, or makes his under call, to this hook, who then passes it off to this hook. It's one of the first things that any team that runs 3-match goes over is how do we defend those quick crossing routes, because when you have 2 hook defenders, you want to make sure, you want to clarify, are we chasing them? So as soon as we get the first under call from the apex, are we going to just run with it, or are we going to continue to pass it off? And in this case, the game is going to try and pass it off, but it's not going to do well. Once the apexes have passed off the shallows, they're going to get to the curl flat. So they're going to get to this area, in which case you would expect them to just be able to sit and collect as this route comes underneath. So you would expect that we're getting double teams, essentially, on these 2 underneath shallow routes. But you're going to see that's not what we get, and there are a load of problems here. So, first off, we actually do get an exchange of the crossing routes, but this hook defender is too slow to recognize the shallow, and this is wide open. And we have a problem because our apex is busy trying to fill this window of the post, which is just not his responsibility. He needs to, as soon as he realizes that 2 is underneath, he needs to get to this area. So this crossing route is wide open. That's a completion for us. This isn't as bad, but it's pretty bad. Let's be honest. He should be probably more over here. So he settled into this dig window, and there's a crossing route. At least we've done a decent job here with this hook defender being matched up with the crossing route. As we go a little bit further, you see he's going to stop chasing it. Both of them are going to stop chasing it, and they're just going to say, okay, apexes, it's your job. Both the apexes do react to it, but they're in such bad position that they're just not able to make a real play on the ball. And then we get another problem here, which you're going to see in one frame. Hello. What are you doing? You got your back turned and you're running for the tunnel. And this really confused me because this is a dig route that is more than 10 yards, right? Ball snapped at the 30. We cross one white line because we're off the ball. 2 white lines here, 3 white lines. This is clear-cut vertical. And this 100% needs to be his responsibility. Instead, he's running off to do God knows what. He's not helping on the post. In this case, we're not helping on the post either, right? We should be man-to-man bracketing the post with the safety. So we have 4 routes on the field against 7 defenders where this should be covered no problem, and it is not. It is massively flawed. So cover 3 is a massive, massive problem. We already went over the safety assignment. He's going to read the releases of the number 2s up the seam, and he's just going to kind of balance them if we get 2 seams. In this case, we're going to get 1. He's going to start cheating his way over and then be able to break on the ball as soon as the quarterback makes his throw. Probably the easiest responsibility that you can have in a cover 3 defense. And that's why if I run cover 3, I like to use the deep safety, right? I like to keep everything in front of me. I'm responsible for playing the seams, covering the post. It's an easy job that is consistent every snap and snap in, snap out. I don't have to make a lot of checks. So if I'm running cover 3, I like to use the safety. Now, after doing this video, I don't think I'm going to want to run cover 3 that much anymore because, boy, we got issues. Moving on to trips. We're going to start here on the backside. This corner is Meg. At least how we would ideally teach it is he is Meg on number 1. So whatever he does, shallow, slant, post, corner, go, out, speed out, doesn't matter, you got him man-to-man. So that is the simplest assignment. The strong corner has the same exact rules and assignments that he does against doubles. He is playing mod. If there's a hitch, he should make his smash call. He won't because cover 3 is put in wrong in this game. If he runs underneath, he will make his under call. He will in fact do that. So he's mod without the smash call. The apex is going to have the exact same responsibility, just with the added responsibility, or the idea now that 3 being out is now an actual receiver instead of a running back. So it's more likely that he is going to be out to the flat. And the way the book explains this is that it is almost an automatic push call. It is not a thing where it is, oh, if the linebacker or the hook defender cannot reach him, we make the push call. We just say, no, it is automatic if 3 goes out to the flat. So think of it more as how we would play it with palms against trips, where we get that automatic of the apex going down and attacking the flat route from number 3. And the hook defenders, they have the same exact responsibilities. If 3 is going out now, then they have to work to take number 2. So in this case here, we're going to take a look at how this play is going to be covered. This is another play where we have a diagram for it in the book. So with 3 being out, we would expect a push call to be made here so the apex is able to trap him. Again, taking top-down leverage so we don't give a free access throw to the curl route. And then the linebacker is going to be going here to settle and funnel that post to the safety. Ideally, we would be able to handle this no problem. Now we're going to get into it and see that things, again, are not as easy as the concept would hope for it to be. So we're just going to show ahead right now that we are in fact mod. We let the underneath route from number 1 go. We go ahead and play the corner really, really well. We're going to show the smash route or the smash concept, and we're just going to put number 3 here on a deep cross. With a deep cross here, this is actually a great time to show this. If 3 runs something of a deep cross or any kind of over route, he becomes the weak hook's responsibility man-to-man. So just keep an eye on this. We already know the smash call is not going to work over here, so you may as well just not even watch this. And you should look at how number 3 is going to be collected by the weak side linebacker. Now again, because this is a video game, we're going to get some bumping here because the defensive end's lined up over him. Think of it like a defensive chip to slow the release off the ball from the tight end. But we're going to see the number 3 be covered by the hook defender. And you see here, we don't cover the smash route correctly. And there's an opening here on the fade to be put in there. So here is this curls play as diagrammed by the game. Right? On the backside here, this is very, very easy. We're man-to-man, so we don't have to worry about this. And Apex is taking 2 out to the flat. Here, man-to-man, because he's going vertical, right? This is more than 10 yards, so it's definitely a vertical route. 3 is out, so we get our push call with the apex, and then our hook defender is just going to settle right into this window and be able to cover the sit route. I couldn't find a curls play out of a trips formation, out of shotgun, that had a sit route from number 2. The best I could find was this one where he has a post, but it is the same route for the first 75% of the play, so it is the closest that we were able to get to when trying to show this. So backside over here, we're good. Gold star. You did great. We don't have to worry about it. That's why I put the diagram over there this time, because we don't have to worry about this side. Strong side. We got problems. Why? Because we didn't get our dang push call. We got 2 guys trying to cover 1 guy, and number 3 is wide open in the flat. The linebacker has taken an awful angle going up the field while still trying to be responsible for number 3 out to the flat. If he's going to be responsible for 3 at the flat, he has to go underneath number 2, in which case there is a window open for 2 to run his post, which is why we have the push call, right? This is a situation where if this happened in practice or in camp when we're installing a coverage, this is when I would go to the players and say, this is the exact reason why we have this call, because of this situation that we just got ourselves put into. If you try and cover 3 out to the flat as the hook defender, you have to take a very direct angle, and it opens up everything behind you for a quick slant or a skinny post, which is exactly what happens here. Or if you try and sit in the window and then go to 3, you got 10 yards between him and any of our nearest defenders. So this is why the push call is so necessary, and the fact that it isn't in the game is a massive problem. Overall, we do a decent job of covering the post route because the weak hook does his job to get back there, but it's number 3 still open. Here we send number 2 shallow to show that the apex will make his undercall, and he does a really good job here of getting over to cover the curl, and we pick this up. This looks great. This is perfect. So this is a situation where cover 3 match plays really, really well. But again, it's against such specific coverage concepts or offensive route concepts that it's not a reliable play to run down in, down out. You see here we're getting 1 shallow. We do a good job here. We're picking this up. And we actually do get what I think is a push call here, because this is the apex, and he's actually chasing after 3 to the flat. Now, the problem is our hook defender is going to go 1 frame ahead. He's so far up the field compared to the post route that we can just throw this post route with low inside leverage and complete the throw. But the theory of the coverage actually played out correctly this time. But again, this is my whole point, is that if you're going to have a coverage that you're going to run every down, you need it to be sound against basic concepts. And we're more so getting a coin flip against basic concepts. And there are more rules of like, oh, well, we don't want to have a concept flooding one side of the field or else it's going to break the coverage. Or it'll work against this concept, but not this concept. And it's just not quite good enough. Here, you're going to see I shift the defensive line over to the left. I'm going to show you the over route by number 3. And this is where we get really good coverage here, actually, from the backside hook defender. This is really, really good. This would be an A+ here. He does a good job. He slows up a little bit to really collect the route. And that's covered. That is absolutely beautiful. Moving on here. What do we got? Oh, here's one little note. I didn't show 4 strong in this chalk talk here, but there is a note here against trips. If number 2 weak, so aka the back here, releases to the strong side, then he's the responsibility of this hook to pass this off and take him. But instead, you're going to see, at least I think, I ran this a couple of times with some different concepts. One time I actually got a push call. This time, I don't. Yeah. So the hook, he starts moving this way, and I'm like, great, you're doing your job. And then he starts to settle back in the middle of the field, and now he's leaving 3 and 4 for this hook defender to cover. And if you're covering 2 people, you're covering no one. And so again, we have a problem here. I did run one concept, I forget what I did, where I sent 4 on the same route as I did right here, and I actually got like a very natural, organic push call from the secondary, and the apex crashed down on it. We actually got matching on 4 also, and it was covered really well. But this time, we ran a concept that you might actually see kind of like a scissor flood concept here with a post from 1 and a corner from 2, 3 runs and out. Maybe this would be a little bit deeper, and then 4 is your intermediate or your underneath flood check down, and we don't cover it. It's not covered properly. So I do want to go over a couple of checks that exist for cover 3 in real life that aren't in the game, because I think it's important that we're still trying to teach real football here. Hopefully, eventually, in some future installment of the game, we will actually get these concepts and checks put into the game. The first one here is an overcall, and this is a call that can be made by either apex or corner if you're on the weak side. If your man runs a deep over route, so it could be here from number 2 or here from number 1, the apex or corner can make an overcall to the deep safety, which will basically say, hey, we're switching assignments. Now, why do we do this? Because, again, it's a leverage thing. It's much easier for this deep safety to crash down and collect than it is for this apex to chase. So he will make his overcall, and the apex will retreat to make the safety collect, and the apex will now be the deep safety. And the same thing would happen if 1 was running this. It would just be a longer run for the corner to get over. This is what I was talking about when we got the dragon and we were running this, is that I would like for the corner, instead of just dropping back here, to start moving his way over here. It's essentially the same thing that I'm talking about. But we're going to take a quick look at it. In-game, doesn't exist, but this is a call that you will see teams do. Even at as low as the high school level, you will see an overcall being made, and it's very, very useful. In this case, we send number 1 on a deep over route, nothing happens. I motion over number 2, put him on an over route, nothing happens. So the overcall is not in the game. Definitely make a note here to EA to maybe try and put that in the game for next year. Another call that we have is 1-man shallow. So this happens in trips. If number 1 on the trip side runs a quick shallow route, then the corner is going to let him go, per usual. The corner would not let him go per usual because he's Meg, essentially. He's man-to-man. I forgot we were in trips. So we're Meg. So he's taking him man-to-man. But because he runs shallow, he's not going to take it. The apex is going to make a me call because he's going to see that 2 is going out. The back is going out, so he's getting his eyes outside. He's going to see 1 coming in. They're going to make a me call to switch this. The corner would then take the back out of the backfield, and the number 1 going underneath would be covered by the apex. This also isn't in the game. So we're going to go ahead and show this, the exact same route concept, and the apex is going to run out to cover the back. That was a very poor drawing of man-to-man coverage. We're going to keep it like that. And the corner is not even going to try and cover the number 1 here, which tells me that in game, he's not coded as Meg. He's not coded to be Megged on number 1. So this is another area where you can take advantage of 3-match. Send 1 shallow out of trips, and look at that. There's your window. This hook, he's playing where he pretty much should. Maybe he should be a bit more over here, but this is open. And there needs to be an exchange here, or they both need to just stay on their man the whole way, and that's not happening. So more and more problems. We're actually going to get into something that is correct in this game, which is RPO assignments. These are going to be really fast and easy. Apex, man-to-man on number 2, corner, man-to-man on number 1. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what we're doing here. I picked a slant bubble because that's the most common type of RPO you're going to see. It could be any kind of RPO, though. The game actually plays this correctly. So we're going to get a look at it here. Take a look at the DBs on the left side. You're going to see them play this really well. So kudos to EA. This is one of the big problems that we had in the game last year, was the secondary not playing RPOs correctly. We move to trips here. We get a really cool looking RPO here out of trips where we got like an actual passing concept built into it. If 3 is involved in the RPO, he is the strong hook's responsibility. Now this is really interesting because we're going to take a look here on the snap at this play the first time. The hook is going to crash down. If I was actually playing this game and not just in practice mode, just snapping the ball for the offense's sake, I'm throwing this every day, right? Because the only thing that's stopping this from being a completion is the safety driving downhill and collisioning the throw. So what you're able to do if 3 is involved in the RPO is go into your coaching adjustments and use the RPO pass key coaching adjustment. And if you set it to conservative, you're going to see, this is wild, we're actually going to get the hook defender to play the route. The same play on both offense and defense. The hook actually plays it, which is awesome. If you thought we were done with our problems here and our gripes about the game, we're not. We got more. So I wanted to show a little bit of 3 buzz because there's a whole section of the pass coverage glossary after going over how cover 3 plays about all the different ways that you can call cover 3 in terms of rotation and spinning the coverage and having this one of the safeties play the strong hook or the weak hook, or rotating away from the nickel or to the nickel. There's a lot that you can do, and a lot of stuff that Saban does, or Saban did for this matter, when it comes to cover 3. But the problem is, in game, we're a bit limited because right here, when I'm trying to run, I have a diagram in here that's coming up at some point. But I'm trying to run a Saban coverage concept where you have the safety to the nickel playing the strong hook. Here it is. This is cover 3 buzz, according to Saban. So the safety to the side of the nickel would fill as the strong hook. And this is heavily used against 20 personnel sets with 2 backs because you're able to get an extra safety in the box while keeping the strong side linebacker in the box in this case. So you have a better run fit. The problem is you can't run this in game ideally, because if you want to run this against a 20 personnel set like I have here, you have to flip the play to get him to be the strong hook. And now your nickel is the weak apex, and you're asking a linebacker to be the strong apex, who first of all is lined up way too far inside. And even if you spread him using game commands, he only spreads out maybe to here. So you have to manually move him, maybe trying to apex 2 and 3 at worst. But then you leave a wide open gap right here in the middle. So I don't really understand why EA has tied the safeties and the nickel together when you flip the play, especially for cover 3 buzz. It's not like when we flip the play that the corners are flipping paces also. They know not to move. I would love to be able just to flip the rotation and who is rotating, because there's no situation where there's 3 wide receivers on the field where I don't want my nickel defender, a nickel corner, lined up over him as the strong apex. There's no situation where I wouldn't want that. But I would like to sometimes mess with the rotation, with who's going and who's rotating. And there's another type of Saban check with cover 3 that's dependent on an H-back or a fullback. So basically whatever way the fullback goes, so if we have a fullback, just say that Aller is the fullback, and he goes right, then this safety will spin down. If he goes left, this safety will spin down. Because we're trying to fill, since the fullback is essentially creating a new gap by him going to block one direction, we're going to fill that with a safety rotating like this if we're getting motion this way. But we can't do that because the safeties and the apex are tied together when we try to flip the play. So that's very, very frustrating. If you want to try and do it, that's the best you're going to get. And you're going to have to deal with your nickel being on the backside and trying to cover a wide receiver with your linebacker. Now, the coverage that we can do is 3 robber, where the safety is going to drop down to be the weak hook defender. This one you can do, and this is the way that the game tries to call it, and will help you with calling it. So, the ideal situation where you would want to call this is against trips. And if you remember what I said, if 3 goes vertical, then he has the responsibility of the weak hook to take him vertical. Well, you would always rather have a defensive back be taking a receiver vertical than a linebacker. You would always rather have that because your safeties are better athletes than your linebackers, at least in 95% of circumstances. So 3 buzz, or if we're calling it by its real name, 3 robber, is a fantastic call against trips, especially for someone like me who runs a 2 high shell defense in game. You can't really see it because I got a bunch of stuff on the screen, but this is a cover 4 shell with the corners and the safeties aligned where they are. This is a cover 4 shell. This is how the game calls it. So it is a perfect trap coverage to where if you've been running poach a lot against trips, you can run it a bit differently because now we're getting rotation from the safety you wouldn't expect to be moving towards the middle, and we're able to fill and carry this route vertical. So it's a really, really nice change up here against trips, and you're going to see the over route by number 3 here. It's going to get collected by the safety. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. One interesting note the book makes when running 3 buzz is that you're actually able to run this against triple option teams. And it recommends to run this with the safety filling as the weak side hook, to run this with a strong side stunt on the defensive line. So in this case, we're going to run the stunt. We're going to run, this is Tempe in the game. If you watch the Stunts and Twists video, which I recommend that you do, this is Vic Fangio's flex combo stunt, where you're going to get a penetration from the 3 technique on the strong side. On the weak side, you're going to get penetration from the edge, and then you're going to get loop from the strong side edge and a loop from the 2i. And what you're going to be able to do is whatever side the read is to, in this case we're running it this way and he is our read, you're going to muddy up the reads so much that the quarterback's just going to want to give it automatically, right? Because the rules that we give to an option quarterback are if the read is muddy and you don't know, just hand the ball off. And the idea is you hand the ball off because the read's muddy, and who's coming to fill in an extra gap? Well, here comes the safety to fill. And the offensive line hasn't accounted for him in the blocking progression because he's so far off the ball. Now, one thing you probably would want to do is set your safeties to be a little bit shallower if you're playing against a true triple option team. So you want to set your safety depth to be closer to the line because there's no reason for them to be 10 yards off the ball. We're going to get a quick look at this here against a triple option. So you're going to see our stunt is going to muddy up the read, and we're going to hand this off because look at this. We don't know what we're doing here. Do we want to hand this off? Yeah, probably, because our read is gone. So we're just going to hand it off. And you're going to see the safety, he's coming to fill. Now, if he wasn't coming from 10 yards off the ball, we'd be in a much better spot. But that was a really interesting note. So if you're playing against someone who's running flexbone option, whether it be online or in Dynasty, definitely go ahead and try and run 3 buzz. Normally, I'm someone that I would just be running 3 sky or quarters because the safeties have run fits as force players on the outside. It's a nice little change up to run this with the safety coming downhill to fill. The second to last thing I want to go over here is cover 3 against bunch, and this continues just a whole episode of disappointment. So I'm setting up a play here that we have in the pass coverage glossary, and this is utilizing a bunch check called skate. So skate is how cover 3 base teams play against bunch. This is how you're able to play cover 3 against bunch. And the game, this check does not exist in the game. I'm not going to go over the rules of the check, but I'm just showing you that there is a way that you can play cover 3 against bunch in real life, but it's not in the game. And in fact, the game does the worst possible thing that it can do, which it doesn't even try to match, it just spot drops. So if you run cover 3, and I did this with both Sky and Buzz, they will just spot drop. And I know that we're somewhat getting some matching here and some matching here, and I thought to myself, okay, maybe this is trying to match, but then we see this. This is classic. Oh, he has left my zone, so I'm now going to go back to my zone. We have a corner just sitting here doing nothing. Our deep safety is sitting here doing nothing. And just to check, I went ahead, I ran the same play, and I called cover 4, quarters, because I know we have the box check against quarters, and they were actually running with the receivers. They were not letting them go. So against bunch, the game just spot drops, which is very unfortunate. And now we're going to get to cover 3 against empty. There is not a check for this in the game, but you can actually make this check. So this is called flood, and this is how you can play cover 3 against empty. To the strong side, it's going to be played the exact same way that you would expect cover 3 to be played against trips. The same rules apply, both in terms of how they're explained in the pass coverage glossary and in terms of how it actually plays against trips in the game. So there's no smash call, there's no real good push call to the strong side. So we're playing cover 3 to the strong side. To the weak side, it's just man-to-man. So all you have to do is man up your corners on number 1 and your weak side apex on number 2, and you can run flood. Now what this allows you to do is it allows the strong side hook to be much more aggressive in matching number 3, because now he doesn't have to worry about something coming underneath from the backside, and it allows this hook to continue to be even more aggressive also. So he's playing a technique called 3 up is 3, which is just basically saying if 3 goes vertical, you have to cover it. If 3 does not go vertical, then you can get your eyes over here to look at whatever's coming from the weak side, and you can go ahead and play it. So this check is not in the game. I want to reiterate that, but you can run it. See, this is just base cover 3 match against empty. You see we're still getting spot drops here, so this isn't good. But we're able to go ahead and just by manning up the backside, we're going to be able to run flood. And in this case, I would recommend that you user the weak hook. I'm trying to get a frame here to show you. There you go. We manned up the backside, man up the backside. I would recommend that you user the weak hook here, because then you're able to play really aggressive. As soon as you see that 3 up is not 3, or 3 is not up, so he's not 3, then you're able to get inside and help rob that intermediate area. Because one of the weaknesses you're going to see here is because the corner is so far off the ball, any quick in-breaking route is basically wide open. It's kind of the same thing that we ran into with Meg, with just not being in a great leverage position. So you could try and set a coverage shell and run cover 2 shell or cover 6 maybe. But then you're going to be way out of position with your post safety. I'm not entirely sure how the game will want to align to this. It might put him over here, and then this apex is going to be back here, which will be even bigger of a problem. So your best bet is you'd have to manually click onto this guy and drag him down, because the telling him to press feature just doesn't work. So it's not ideal, but it is a check that you can run if you're confident enough to be able to get the call done in time. So you can technically run flood if you want to. And here we go. People have been asking for this. If we could have some in-game examples of beating a coverage and how you can take advantage of a coverage. I don't have a lot of them because I haven't played many games on CFB 26. The only games I play are in my Dynasty. And I don't play online because I just don't like playing football games online against other people because it turns into not real football. But I do have a couple Dynasty clips highlighting one of the biggest weaknesses of cover 3 match and any single high defense for that matter. Not all of these clips are going to be against cover 3, but the principle still applies. And that is what are called access throws. You also hear them called access routes. Because the corner is responsible for such a big area here in cover 3, and even if we're in cover 1 where he's man-to-man, because it's has such a big area of responsibility, he basically has everything from the hash to outside the numbers. That is his job. You have a ton of free real estate to run anything that's a stop route underneath, that's breaking outside, that's going vertical, and then coming back. So curls, outs, and comebacks are all fantastic routes to run against cover 3 in any kind of single high defense. So first here, you're going to see a curl route that we run here late in our game here against Troy. Throw the curl right on the break, you get a completion. We're actually moving backwards here in time in the game. We're going to go ahead, we get single high again. We have an out route this time by number 1. And you see here, we get cover 3. It was they ran single mug, so they loaded the box and they loaded the line, making it look like they were blitzing, but they weren't. Right here, you get the access throw. Corner has to open his hips to turn back to the outside, and we actually get a fantastic adjustment from our receiver, flipping his hips back inside and making a spinning catch. That was really nice. And then here, this was on the first drive of the game for me. Again, we get single high. What we got? We got an out route dialed up. And we're going to go ahead once we make sure our protection's all set. And we're going to throw this and get a quick completion. Now this is against the cover 1 blitz, but the principle remains exactly the same. You can throw any of these access routes that are breaking out or back at about 10 yards to your wide receivers on the outside, and they will be open every single time. One last big weakness here against cover 3, and that is any type of run that can manipulate numbers in the box. One of the biggest strengths of cover 3 is the fact that you always are going to have enough players in the box against a theoretical 2x2 set, because you have 4 defensive linemen and then 2 linebackers. So you have enough guys to cover all these gaps against a typical run, right? If we're just running inside zone here with the running back, lined up back here, then you're one-on-one with one guy left unblocked. Now, typically, it'd probably be this guy that's left unblocked. But in this case, we're going to have a run that manipulates the numbers. In this case, it's a QB run with a running back lead blocking. And I brought up the offensive blocking assignments because you see every single player is accounted for. So if you're able to run some kind of concept that can manipulate the numbers of the offense, and it doesn't have to be a QB run, it can be a zone read, where you're reading that backside unblocked defender and forcing him to be wrong. It can be power or counter, where you're wrapping a lineman from the backside to the strong side to create an opening. It could be a QB power like this, or some kind of RPO where you're taking advantage of the linebackers having to be too aggressive. That's a major weakness of Cover 3. And here we get into my verdict on Cover 3. I wanted to give a bit more of what my opinions on these coverages are now that I've dove into them, and we've just crossed over the 1 hour mark talking about this coverage. I think Cover 3, it's okay in this game. 3-match, it's okay. It's useful against deep passing, especially over the middle. Right, against 4 verticals, it'll lock it down. The post is closed, so you're not going to get beat with a deep post all that often, especially if you're using that deep safety. You'll be pretty good. It's very strong against the runs and RPOs because you have enough guys in the box, and the RPO fits from the secondary are really good, and you can use that coach adjustment to determine how you want the hook to play if 3 is involved in the RPO. The problem is that the coverage is just really weak in terms of things that it can be taken advantage of, like access throws and the QB run game, which are just really popular in college. And then the coding is just not good enough. We don't have a smash call. We don't have a push call. We don't have the over call. We don't have the one shallow weak call. We don't have check skate against bunch. We don't have check flood against empty. That's 6 things that you really, really need to be able to make this coverage work. And even then, your hook defenders don't play good coverage. There's just a ton of holes here to running Cover 3 as an every down coverage that I can't recommend it, because you're going to get picked apart by shallow routes. Anything that's less than 10 yards down the field is just probably not even going to get covered. So my final verdict on Cover 3 is you got to use it as a changeup. Very much akin to Cover 4 palms, where if your opponent knows you're running it, they can dot you up and they can beat you bad. If they don't know you're running it and you spin into it, like running 3 buzz, or you run it out of a Cover 4 shell because you're running quarters all the time, then you can get them. You can definitely trick them, because most players are not comfortable reading post-snap safety rotation. And they're just going to assume it's Cover 4, and they'll throw an interception. So really the only time you're going to see me in my dynasty using 3 buzz, or Cover 3, is as 3 buzz, as another check that I can run against trips, where I want the safety to carry number 3 vertical, particularly if the tight end is going to be like split out, or if that number 3 is in fact a wide receiver. I don't want my linebacker running with a split tight end or a wide receiver down the field. So a little bit of a somber ending, a bit disappointing here to go over Cover 3 and not get a good ending and a good verdict to it. But I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And I hope you realized what the weaknesses here of Cover 3 are, and maybe we can get this to EA and they can try working on getting some checks into the game. I don't know if I have that much pull yet, but I definitely encourage you to check out the Pass Coverage Glossary by Cameron Saran. I believe now I can actually put external links in the description, so instead of just saying to go buy it, I can actually link you to it. I hope. If not, then I got to get to 1,000 subs to be able to do that. Check out the Rice Dynasty, where I do a lot of this scheme stuff and you get to see it in action. I'm definitely taking some feedback here, trying to get a bit more scheme-related stuff into the Dynasty instead of it just being kind of a sim style playing with commentary over the top of it. I want to put more love for scheme and tactical talk into it as well. So I'm going to try working on that for the next episode. And obviously check out the rest of the Chalk Talks if this is your first one. We've got a lot of information here. And we're just trying to build a big database of coverages and football information for you here. So I hope you enjoy. I hope that you have time to check out a 1 hour, 5-minute episode. Maybe in the future if people tell me. I want to get your opinion here. If you like a long episode like this, or if you want me to break this up. And I'll probably put a poll in the community tab on my channel to see what you think about this, because I will gladly break these up if they're a bit more digestible for you. But I hope you all enjoyed. I hope that you stick around. Definitely go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll be back with you sooner rather than later. Take care.